After studying this chapter, you will be able to explain the role of manager, discuss the functions of managers, define levels of management, understand the management skills and organizational hierarchy. Introduction. The term management can be interpreted differently in different contexts. In a broad perspective, management can be considered as the proper utilization of people and other resources in an organization to accomplish desired objectives. Managers carry out the functions of planning, organizing, staffing, leading and controlling. Productivity can be improved by ensuring efficiency and effectiveness in the operations of the firm. Effectiveness refers to achievement of stated organizational objectives, while operational effectiveness includes goals, activities, processes, tools and technologies. Efficiency denotes the judicious use of resources to achieve organizational objectives. In the words of Peter Drucker, efficiency means doing things right, while effectiveness means doing the right things. Management tasks, responsibilities, practices. The role of manager. 10 roles were grouped into 3 categories: interpersonal roles, informational roles, and decisional roles. A manager is required to interact with many people, both within and outside the organization, and hence the need to perform interpersonal roles. The 3 interpersonal roles of a manager are figurehead, leader, and liaison.
Everybody, to this week's edition of the Management Prescriptions. You know, a lot of people have a real problem in trying to separate the difference between leaders and managers. In fact, even some colleagues of mine keep telling me, why don't you focus on leadership? Well, I have to tell you, leadership is a totally different concept, and I truly believe that while leaders can be taught, a lot of them have a lot of things inside of them that make them leaders. The other thing that I know is that organizations only have room for one leader. And if there's only room for one, then we're going to really have a problem if we try to create everybody into a leader. I'm really more interested in creating great managers. So let me show you, at least from my perspective, the difference between a leader and managers and why the management role is so important. Many of you know that I actually did about 15 years in the United States Navy, and my first duty station was over in Australia. One of the things I found fascinating was how sheep herders herded sheep. So I'm going to draw this for you and kind of tell you what I'm looking at when it comes to leaders and managers. First of all, there was the leader. The leader happened to be the farmer who would sit up here on horseback, and the goal was to get the sheep over to the sheep shearing station. Now, sheep, I don't know if you know this, they're not very bright. So sheep are all over the place, getting all nice and hairy, and the job of that farmer was to get them to the shearing station. Now, as you might imagine, it would probably be quite a challenge to get them there, everybody working together. To help in that effort, what these farmers would do is they would have some very highly trained sheepdogs. Now, the job of the sheepdogs was to actually run circles around the pack. And when it would do this, it would actually keep the sheep together, but also keep them moving in the right direction that this farmer wanted to take them. So the dogs would kind of run this circle. They'd run around, they'd bark at the sheep, and, you know, they would never bite him. If a dog ever bit a sheep, the dog would be probably shot on sight. So the dogs would keep them moving together, but also, most importantly, keep them moving in that strategic direction which the farmer had determined actually had to be. And so for our purposes, it's going this way. So in my model, I'm going to suggest that leaders are probably like this character right here. Now, you can't have 3 or 4 leaders all go in different directions. You do that, you're going to have total chaos. So one leader, one organization, one leader. This is the leader's job, to think strategically, to think visionary, long-term. What do the managers do? Well, the managers make it happen. And the managers, if they're trained well, can keep people working together and moving in the right direction. Let me tell you what it looks like in most organizations. You have a similar model, but in this case, we've got leader up here. We've got sheep all over the place here. And then, sadly, this is what you typically have. You've got managers who are kind of doing their own thing. They're running around. You might have two of them over here fighting with each other. Then you have a couple wanting to go off this direction, people wanting to go here. Worse, you have managers snapping and biting at the sheep. So this is a model of how many organizations actually function. The question for a leader, and I'm talking to CEOs right now, are your managers doing what they're supposed to be doing? Are they actually listening to your vision, and are they making sure that people are getting it done? If you don't know what your managers are doing, you might want to take a little time and check it out and see. For my managers, if you don't know what your role is, you might want to clarify that. If you find that you're not able to do some of those functions of a manager, you might need some training and some coaching. Of course, that's where I come in because that's what I do. So this week, CEOs number one, think about what your organization does and where you need to take people, and then find out if your managers are doing it. Managers, if you are having trouble doing all this, keeping people together and moving them forward, or you find yourself drawn into conflicts down here.
Functions of managers. Managerial functions are effective tools for managers to achieve the organization's planned objectives. They include the general administrative duties that need to be carried out in virtually all organizations. Planning. Planning can be defined as the process by which managers decide the mission and objectives of the firm and take necessary steps to achieve the desired objectives. Planning helps a firm decide its future course of action. Organizing. Organizing is the process of assigning tasks and allocating resources to individuals to enable them to accomplish organizational goals. Staffing. Today, staffing is better known as human resource management and involves manning or filling the various positions in the organizational hierarchy. This function also deals with compensation, performance appraisal, promotion, and career planning. Leading. Leading is defined as the management function of influencing, motivating, and directing people towards the achievement of organizational goals. Controlling. Controlling can be defined as the continuous measurement and analysis of actual operations against the established industry standards developed during the planning process and corrections of deviations, if any. Levels of management. In many small business enterprises, the owner is the only member of the management team. It is a normal practice to categorize management into three basic levels. 1. Top level management. 2. Middle level management. And 3. Supervisory or first level management. The duties and responsibilities at these three levels of management vary from organization to organization depending upon the size, technology, culture, etc. prevailing in the organization. The number of managerial positions at each level varies from organization to organization. In most of the organizations, there are more positions at the first level, fewer in the middle, and very few at the top. Many describe this kind of an organizational structure as a pyramid, as the managerial positions gradually decline as one progresses towards the higher levels of management. Top level managers. Top level managers are usually appointed, elected, or designated by the organization's governing body. Top level management made up of senior level executives of an organization or those positions that hold the most responsibility. They are few in number and they include job classifications such as the Chief Operating Officer, Chief Executive Officer, CEO, Chief Financial Officer, President, Vice President, Senior Vice President, and Executive Director. Top-level managers are responsible for taking major decisions for the organization as a whole. The top-level managers are responsible for the overall activities of the business and are accountable for its impact on the society at large. They work to some extent with the middle level managers in implementing the plans and maintaining overall control over organizational performance. In public limited companies, top level managers report to the board of directors. Members of the board are selected by shareholders. When a board comprises a majority of individuals who have close ties with the management, they essentially act as rubber stamps. But on the other hand, boards with more outsiders operate more independently and are more proactive. General responsibilities of a chief executive: acts as an advisor to the board, ensures availability of relevant information to the board members, anticipates future trends and looks out for opportunities, acts as an interface between the board and the employees, formulates the mission, policies and procedures for the smooth functioning of the organization, devises action plans for the staff, ensures the running of an organization without any bottlenecks, oversees the implementation of plans, manages the material, financial and human resources of the organization, helps in selecting and evaluating board members, keeps the board updated regarding the organization's activities. Middle level managers. Middle level managers deal with the actual operation of various departments in an organization. Middle level management report to top management and serve as the head of major departments and their specialized units. Middle level management typically much more visible to the greater workforce than top management. It spend most of their time developing and implementing strategic action plans needed to achieve the organizational goals set by top management. These managers are responsible for implementing the plans and strategies developed by top management for the accomplishment of organizational goals. They look at the top management for direction and guidance and are answerable to them. In many organizations, middle-level managers serve as a source of innovation and creativity. Thus, they play a vital role in the success of the organization. They are directly responsible for the performance of managers at lower levels. Their typical titles include directors, assistant directors, regional directors, division managers, deans, branch managers, site managers. In the words of Rory Chase, Managing Director of IFS International in Bedford, the new role of the middle manager embraces three key areas: team leadership, change maker, and facilitator. A guide to middle manager survival. Focus on important strategic issues, things like senior managers. Analyze why change is needed. Ensure greater participation. Manage change and people together. Utilize their role as intermediaries. Implement the vision. Incorporate change into the organization. First level managers. First level managers are directly responsible for the performance of employees involved in operations. First level management is also called low level management. It works most closely to the greater workforce and hold a much more interpersonal role than any of the other levels of management. First level managers implement the operational plans developed by middle managers and take corrective actions when needed. First level managers are responsible for output variables like number of units produced, labor costs, inventory levels, and quality controls. First level managers act as a link between the management and the rest of the workforce. They often confront conflicting demands. Low level management typically resembles the department in which they are situated. They include accounting manager, academic affairs manager, human resources manager, head of financial operations and sales leader. The role of the supervisor. The first line supervisor, irrespective of the formal designation foreman, chief clerk or section engineer, can ensure that his employees perform the best. The supervisor sets goals in accordance with the organization's plans and makes sure that each worker achieves the determined targets. The supervisor should have a thorough understanding of promotional opportunities and performance benchmarks. In the words of Peter Drucker, manager development must begin with supervisors. The supervisor has to assume greater responsibilities and therefore he has to be prepared to set objectives, to organize and to plan. Time spent in carrying out managerial functions. Though all managers perform all managerial functions, the time spent by individual managers for each activity differs. The importance of managerial functions, planning, organizing, leading and controlling varies depending on the manager's level in the organization. In contrast, leading is substantially more important for first level supervisors than for managers at higher levels. First level supervisors need to spend more time in communicating, motivating and directing the employees involved in operations. Management skills and organizational hierarchy. A manager's job is varied and complex. Hence, managers need certain skills to perform the functions associated with their jobs. During the early 1970s, Robert K. Calles identified 3 kinds of skills for administrators, such as technical, human and conceptual skills. A 4th skill, the ability to design solutions, was later added to the above mentioned skills. Technical skills. Technical skills refer to the ability of a person to carry out a specific activity. Engineers, computer specialists, accountants and employees in manufacturing department all have the necessary technical skills for their specialized fields. Technical skills are essential for first level managers. Human skills. Human skills or interpersonal skills refer to the ability of a person to work well with other people in a group. It is the ability to lead, motivate and communicate with people to accomplish certain objectives. Conceptual and design skill. Conceptual skills refer to the ability of a person to think and conceptualize abstract situations. It is the ability to understand and coordinate the full range of corporate objectives and activities. Summary. Henry Foyle was the first management thinker to outline the 5 basic functions carried out by managers. Every manager performs these basic functions. A manager is required to interact with many people, both within and outside the organization, and hence the need to perform interpersonal roles. Planning can be defined as the process by which managers decide the mission and objectives of the firm and take necessary steps to achieve the desired objectives. At the same time, managers need to determine the future trends in business and incorporate change and innovation into the organization from time to time. Top-level managers are usually appointed, elected or designated by the organization's governing body. They are few in number and they include job classifications such as the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, President, Vice President, Senior Vice President and Executive Director. Top-level managers are responsible for taking major decisions for the organization as a whole. Middle-level managers deal with the actual operation of various departments in an organization. They are directly responsible for the performance of managers at lower level. Let us now summarize what all we've learned so far. Henry Fayol was the first management thinker to outline the 5 basic functions carried out by managers. A manager is required to interact with many people, both within and outside the organization. Planning can be defined as the process by which managers decide the mission and objectives of the firm. Top-level managers are usually appointed, elected, or designated by the organization's governing body. Middle-level managers deal with the actual operation of various departments in an organization.